Welcome to the fourth part of our presentations on Paul's second missionary journey. This missionary journey is recorded in Acts in 1536 to Acts 18:22. This presentation is background for Greek exegesis that covers the historical and geographical context of this journey through Acts and provides the context for several of the letters that Paul wrote. Let us begin. We are now in part 4, where we look at Acts 16, 6 through 10. And I've presented here the English text first, as it provides several of the locations. We will also go through this in Greek during our classes. Now they passed through Phrygia and Galatia area, having been forbidden by the Holy Spirit to speak a word in Asia. After this they came to Mysia, and they were trying to go to Bithynia, but the Spirit of Jesus did not permit them. So, passing by Mysia, they came down to Troas, and a vision appeared to Paul at night. And we'll pick up. And a man of Macedonia was standing and appealing to him and saying, "Come over to Macedonia and help us." And when he had seen the vision, immediately we sought to go to Macedonia, concluding that God had called us to preach the gospel to them. So putting out to sea from Troas, we ran a straight course to Samothrace, and on the day following to Neapolis. Now, if you look at the Greek, you see the cities highlighted: Phrygia, Galatia, Musean, Bithynia, Troas. Okay, you will notice that many of these are in the singular accusative form. Well, let's go look at how this might have looked on the map. Here he starts out from Antioch in Pisidia, and he goes through the Anatolian plateau. Now, several of the researchers, including Berrien's Index of the Great Roman and Greek world, might have put Galatia farther over into Asia Minor, and Paul's journey still to follow in this area, or they, as the red lines occur, or they might have gone up through another set of roads a little across the far western edge of Galilee. You can see they tried to enter Pisidia and Pontus, probably to go to the cities on the sea. There were Jewish cities there that Paul might have covered in his journeys, selling the tent-making equipment for Paul's father. For Paul to be a Roman citizen by birth, his father probably was fairly wealthy and had either visited these sites by sea or across by land. You see how they go across Mysia, south of the Bering States, where Istanbul is today, and into Troas. And then from Troas they go across to Samothrace, which is fairly quick, and then into Neapolis. Let's look at that. They're walking out the gate in Antioch and Pisidia, and they go into Galatia. Now, here's a couple modern pictures of people in Galatia. You see that some of the mountains on the high Anatolian plain are snow-covered, and these campers are camping in the area. The Celtic tribes initially were in Galatia. Galatia, as you noticed, was bounded on north by Bithynia and Patagonia, and south by Cappadocia and Iconium, which he had just come through, and west by Phrygia and east by Pontus. So this was conquered in 25 BC. As he gets to Troas, Troas is on the sea. They're going to find a sea voyage. But let's look at how Troas might have looked at that time. Over here is a picture where the ancient harbor would have been, which is what that would have arch would have overlooked. If you see those arches, usually we're seeing a Roman piece of architecture. Troas was founded by Antigonus, remember the Greek general we had seen in Alexander the Great, and this is the general that Secundus Nictor, who had founded Alexandria, won against to try to take over more land. These generals, after Alexander the Great finished conquering, fought each other for the land that had been conquered. Who knows how that might have continued if Alexander had lived and went to have sons. Perhaps the generals would have served sons specifically. Troas, as you notice, has a market, has a theater, a stadium. These are all key places, ancient baths, and city walls that would have protected it. This Troas was conquered by Rome in 129 BC. BC or BCE, before the Christian year. He probably stayed at a friend's house. As you will note, in many of the cities, you don't see, a Holiday Inn or Hilton. What at that time, or even the equivalent, what you saw is there were the guilds, such as the tent making or the purple cloth making, had guilds in various cities, and you traded you traded services. You went to a friend's house, you stayed, and your whole business in families created these webs of families and patronage. Now, these usually founded themselves by having a large patron. In the Roman oligarchies, you will find that the patronage system and the system of honor and shame was extremely important in the Roman era. The patron would provide services, and the clients would support him or support other things. So if you had a patron in the Roman Empire and he had clients throughout the cities, they would then provide aid. Now, how could Paul look what a Macedonian man was like? There were certain characteristics of the physical characteristics, and then certain dress. You see that the Macedonian men often either wore beards or had extremely curly hair. This is a frieze of a Macedonian funerary stele that was set up, and it shows the man with sort of a beard and eyes. There he's greeting his wife, who's again in flowing clothes, and you see a son with the same sort of curly thing. Here's an ancient frieze or picture, stone drawing of Alexander Great conquering. Notice his short tunic, and again the sort of curly hair and flowing gown. So if he saw someone like this, he probably recognized it as a Macedonian. They then negotiated for a ship. Again, they would have been placed on a ship on the deck. If they had goods, it would have been on the goods. If they had a cart, they probably sold a cart and tried to negotiate for it, or they broke down the cart in order to fit in time of the hold. And they headed off. Well, we'll pick up the rest of their journey in Part 5. We appreciate your attention. Part 5 will look at how we pass through the sea journey through Samothrace to Neopos. Thank you again.